Oh boy. Hello there guys, Fingfurf here. And welcome to DRM Madness. Oh yes, so this has actually been in bloody popular news, bloody hell. So how many of you have heard of a game called Simcity? Probably most of you. Good. How many of you bought Simcity? Some of you. Okay. How many of you actually managed to play the damn game? Very little. Why is that? So SimCity, do you know what? I love the old SimCity games. I absolutely love them. But what the hell have they done to this one? So, okay, this game you have to be always online to play. Why is that? Because it forces multiplayer on you. Yes, that's right. A series known for its single player offline aspects is now a multiplayer always online. Great. God knows what the hell I was thinking. Ooh, let's try and stop people from pirating our games. Brilliant. Well done. Well done, EA. Well done. Okay, let's get this out of the way first. So SimCity is actually a pretty decent game. It looks pretty stunning. I haven't played it myself, but I've seen a lot of gameplays, I've seen a lot of first impressions, and overall it's pretty positive. The game itself is pretty good, and I was looking forward to it myself. So the problem comes with this always online DRM. Another game had a very similar problem to this last year. It was probably one of the most biggest blunders in gaming on 2012. Do you remember what that game was? Yes, it was Diablo 3, Error 37. There are so many videos about that, it's unbelievable. Error 37, because obviously they didn't have enough servers. So, guess what they've done this time round after not learning the mistakes in Diablo 3? Oh look, no enough servers! God, these guys never learn, do they? Okay. So, this is unbelievable. So, yeah, it's in the news, and the funny thing is, Amazon actually suspended selling it for a little bit of time, due to the fact of how many complaints they got. Was that a surprise? No, it wasn't. Wasn't at all, was it? No, so the suspended sales, and what I don't get is this. I'm pretty sure this was intended to be a single player game to start off with. So why did they halfway through the event think, do you know what would be a really good idea to fuck up all our consumers? We'll stick an always online multiplayer mode that has nothing to do with it. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, there are some aspects that seem pretty okay with multiplayer. I mean, if you have a neighbour in your region, whatever they do influences to some extent on what you do. So, for example, if a nuclear bloody reactor goes, then you're going to feel the effects of it. And there's not really that many good things that can actually come apart from maybe having a few more shoppers even there from what I've seen of the game. But yeah, it actually seems really forced on, and you know, it looks like this is here for two reasons. Number one, stop piracy. We already know this, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, no one wants piracy. And number two, to force feed you a DLC. Yes, he has a bit of a history with this, so yeah. So why are you doing it in a game that is traditionally single player and offline? Indeed. So many players tried to log in during the first couple of days that they were in queues. They were in queues for hours. And then once the queues had actually stopped, once you actually managed to get in, you were kicked right back out. Probably what's even worse about this as well is that people that actually did manage to get in didn't have a lot of their, basically lost all their progress. What they'd done, the servers weren't actually saving properly. Oh my god, this is a really big, massive clusterfuck. I think it is one of the more massive clusterfucks of 2013 at the moment. But it's still early in the year, you know. It's still March, you know. We've still got the PS4 to come out yet, and maybe the Xbox 720. At the end of the day, we still don't know if those are going to be DRM influenced as well. So yeah, that'd be very nice to expect, won't it? Now, don't get me wrong, you know, not all forms of DRM are bad. I mean, well, they are. Steam is a good example, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, when you actually buy your games from Steam, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know, well, okay, I'm going to need to be online when I'm playing Steam games. You know, that's fair enough. And you know, you carry on buying games from there because you do know that you need to be online. And I mean, don't get me wrong, most of these games anyway that you can get off Steam, you can actually play offline modes anyway if you bought the box version. Sometimes you need an internet connection to activate the actual product, but after that you're pretty much fine. And bearing in mind, Steam also has an offline mode as well. Now, bearing in mind, you do need to activate this while you're online, which can be a bit of a problem if you have a power cut. But yeah, in general, it's not that bad of a DRM. Although a lot of people still highly disagree with how it works, you know. Don't get me wrong. I don't technically agree with DRM either. Especially, I mean, it's mainly about piracy. But the problem is the piracy is so broad now. I mean, there's so many people cracking games that the proper legitimate consumers really do get affected really badly because of the forms of DRM that's in place. A great example of a badly placed DRM is probably Anno 2070. Now, I think there is still quite a bad DRM. I know they've done an update to get rid of some of this form of DRM, but I think you're still only able to activate the game on 3 separate attempts. After that, you need to actually contact support to get another key or whatnot. But you know, at the end of the day, the gaming developers support, customer support, is not always the best thing to actually go by, because you know, you're usually waiting hours or you don't get replies for days and days if you email them and whatnot. You know, some are okay, some aren't. But it's even worse as well, because I actually bought Anno 2070 on Steam. So in fact, I have actually got technically 3 forms of DRM on that. I've got the DRM from Steam, I've got the DRM from Origin, and I've got obviously DRM for activating the game on it a few times. That is kind of insane. Now, bearing in mind as well, Anno 2070 does kind of force you to play online as well, because of all the online stuff that you actually do with it, like votes for senators and whatnot and all that bollocks. So it's still the question: why did they do it with Simcity? Why did they do it with a offline game? With a traditionally offline game? You know, it's really weird. Oh look, Simcity servers are down. Oh dear. You know, people still can't play today either. I mean, how many days has it been out? It's been 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly what day it was released. That's a good question. When was it released? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Google it. Simcity release date. This is how professional I am, guys. You should know that by now. What am I after? Okay. So where's the release date? What's the release date? It normally tells you straight away, which is really... Oh, the 8th from... Oh, it was to... No, it was... Oh, so the US actually got it a couple of days before us. So, yeah, that's the reason why a lot of people have complained about it today on Amazon. Obviously, EU Amazon. So, yeah, this is not surprising in any way, shape or form. And it's stupid, it really is. The problem is, as well, with the release of the new consoles becoming imminent, and you know, it's closing in, we've got to think about this. It's going to be a lot more DRM influenced. I mean, you've already got the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I mean, they've had DRM on their stuff that you buy from their store for quite some time now, and a lot of people, you know, seem okay with it. You know. theoretically, I'm still not. Obviously, a couple of years ago, I didn't have a very stable internet connection, and I bought games, and when the internet was off, I felt the effects of it. I couldn't play on the games that I really wanted to play. So, people do feel the effects of DRM, and what's even more worrying is this. So, obviously, people that pirate games, they obviously have to have it working for offline mode, and obviously, they've got the advantage of having it offline than most people, which is kind of insane. Now, what EA have tried to do with this game is they've made all the simulation, well, not all of it, some of it, server side. So this is actually good and bad in the respect, because it's good in a way that worse off machines can actually run it a bit more efficiently. Yeah, that's what I was after. That's what I was after. But obviously, it's also bad because what's going to now happen is that what's going to happen to this game in a couple of years down the line. Now, bearing in mind, not everyone buys games the first day it comes out. Not everyone buys games the first week it comes out. Not people buy games the first month it comes out. Some people sometimes even leave it years before actually buying a game. Now, the problem is, where is this game going to be in a couple of years' time? Servers aren't going to be that full. There's EA. I can't see EA keeping empty servers available. So what's going to happen once all the servers become dead? The answer is the game will die. Why is this? Because there is no way they're going to be able to patch that sort of simulation into an offline mode. So one has to wonder whether piracy is actually the better thing to do here. Because don't get me wrong. What I'm saying this is that this is going to be a very hard game to crack because of this simulation on server side. However, it might be possible. I'm saying might. I don't know if it is. It might be possible to make an emulation of it. And if that's the case, people that really want to play the game that can't because of all this DRM crap. That obviously, you've always got to be online. Don't forget the saves at the moment are absolutely completely broke to shit as well. Right, they'll go for the option that's offline, and it's going to be free. And you're like, I'm strongly against piracy, but when you really affect the consumers like this, you legitimate consumers, to the point where they're not going to be able to play the game in a couple of years' time, but people that didn't buy it can, I scratch my head at that. I really fucking scratch my head at that and think, well, why? Why was this? Why is this the case? I think I've said all I've got to say. This DRM stuff is not going to go away anytime soon. No one likes it. It only helps the developers, and that's it. It doesn't help the consumers one bit. If the DRM keeps going this drastic, it's actually gonna encourage people to start pirating more, and that is really bad for the games business, because we're not gonna get games that we want, So it's a double-edged sword, it really is. But it's up to you guys, It's whether you want to actually pay for a game that you might only be able to play for a couple of years, or if you want to buy it later on down the line, you might not even be able to play it. It's as simple as that. Right then, guys, I'll see you later.